what do you look forward in 2011, Martha?
Well, I know there's a couple of films that hopefully are very close, that we've been developing, that are very close to being funded, which I think are going to answer that question of can we make a successful romantic comedy. So I've really got my fingers crossed with that one. Look, I just like I said, I genuinely feel really excited about this next decade. I think there's something in the water, as well as, you know, the sort of ambition with the sophistication of the next generation coming through is incredible. And I think that, you know, it's just about good films. I want to see, you know, I want to see us release some good films, and for that magic dust, you know, they all need a bit of luck as well. And I'm really, you know, from a grassroots level, I'm really happy with what we're seeing, and I want to see more of that, basically.
Any new development initiatives at Screen Australia? Yeah,
we always, I mean, again, just to support the notion of diversity, I mean, recently we ran a workshop in acknowledgement of the place for drama, character-based drama. We ran a workshop that was an exploration of, okay, if you are interested in making character-based drama, which sort of has had a bit of bad press lately, what can we do to help you get your dramatic story to as wide an audience as possible without losing the integrity of what your intention is for a story. You know, why did so many people go and see Juno? Why did so many people go and see Lars and the Real Girl? You know, that sort of thing. And that went very, very well. And to counter that, we've just announced, I think yesterday actually, on the other end of the scale, a high concept movie workshop, which is for people who are really interested in probably the sorts of films Christopher's interested in as well, and Stephen, high concept movies that are normally the domain of Hollywood, but if there are storytellers within our community, filmmakers within our community that think along those lines, they should have the opportunity to be supported too. And so we're working with Michael Haig, who's quite sort of, he's got a great mind, he's a real Hollywood insider, and he's got a great mind about about how that storytelling works. So there'll be a group of about 20 writers, and they can bring their producers over the course of 3 days, and at the end of the 3 days they'll have worked with Michael on honing their high concept ideas, and they'll come out with a really well structured outline and treatment, because often if you get those early documents right, the foundations in place, especially for those genre movies, you know, you're in a really great position then to write your draft. So we're excited about that.
Well, we're finishing up Killer Elite in the beginning of the year, so that's the biggest film that we've been involved in producing. So if just that's successful, that will be a big year for us. It's a $70 million film, and certainly
Jason Statham, Robert De Niro,
Clive Owen, and 49 Australian cast, and all Australian crew and producers, and totally financed out of Australia with foreign sales through a company called Inferno. So we pre-sold about 55-60% of the world before we went into production, and pretty much we've sold the rest of the world now during production. We're collaborators, so we certainly don't try to stick it to the US, but I think we absolutely need to continue to learn from them. Stephen's got a great connection through to his studio, and as he said, constantly looking for product. We're constantly looking for global partners, because it is a global industry. I mean, we certainly have some tremendous TV producers in the room, and I think they're going to hopefully have a great year again next year. They've done a tremendous job in keeping the training of not only the talent in this country, but also producing globally standard television. So I congratulate them.
And are we going to have a Tomorrow When the War Began too?
I hope so. There's always challenges in financing these films, and we are in discussions with Screen New South Wales and Screen Australia and the state and regions. So we are incredibly grateful for their support, because it's them that's afforded companies like us to put a lot of private enterprise money into a project to try and step up and as Stephen said, to get money back and then be able to reinvest it. Without that, the risk would have just been too high, and we wouldn't have been able to stomach making a film like that. So we've proven Australia can do it.
On our behalf, we've got a really interesting slate, but we have obviously an Australian feature film that we are that I've been attached to and pushing for the last 2 years, that we hope is going to come to light at, early next year, and I'm really, really passionate about this, and probably as passionate about as the writer and the producer and everyone else. And I think that's it's a big golden egg for me. I really think it's just wonderful, and it's something that perhaps Martha mentioned, that she's got something that she feels is going to crack the milestone, and for us I think it is too, and I'm really excited by that. And beyond that, I really do think it's just that old adage, as perhaps Al just probably said it much more succinctly than I could, is just realising the expectations from the filmmakers, is that, if make back what you think you're going to make it for, and the United States does that pretty well. If they make a $100 million picture in production costs, the rule of thumb is that they will do $100 million back at the box office. That's not what they take back, because of the exhibitors will take 50% over there, only much less here. And then they'll make it up after the P&A with their international sales and theatrical efforts and TV and DVD. So I just think it's just being very, very aware of the expectations. If you make a small budgeted film, the expectations are low and stuff, and accordingly scale everything to that. You make it Tomorrow When the War Began, you've got larger expectations, and Julie So and things. But as I said, I think I'm with Martha. The glass is half full, and I think it's looking really good. I've got there's some young filmmakers out there, writers and directors, that are great, and I've got to say, great young film stars. There is so much good talent out there that will come and back and forward, across the Pacific to LA and back again. But I know when we're looking at some projects and some of the people that are being mentioned, gee, it's good. It looks really, really rosy for us.
What's the one Sony movie that everyone here should go and see next year?
Well, if you want nasty, rude and crude, it's a thing called Bad Teacher with Justin Timberlake, who's going to become quite a bit of a film star with Cameron Diaz. But funnily enough, you talk about all the rules and things being broken, and I'm going to talk about something that's not, the big classic Sony things, but we've got a period piece about Shakespeare and the fact that Shakespeare didn't write all the stuff that he wrote, and it's by a bloke called Roland Emmerich, and who's known for Independence Day and The Day After Tomorrow and everything else, and it is with the pedigree of English aristocracy as Shakespearean actors, and it's extraordinary. It really is, with Vanessa Redgrave and Sir Derek Jacobi, and it's quite extraordinary in a period piece. So he's broken all the rules and about genres and what to do and things, and him as a filmmaker, and it's an extraordinary piece.
Thank you.
It's called Anonymous.
Well, I've just done 2 films in succession, so I'm going to have a lie down for a few weeks, but I understand everyone else is doing the same. So. I'm going to be the executive producer of a romantic comedy musical. I feel that, Priscilla, as I mentioned earlier, fundamentally was a romantic comedy musical. It was just a little unexpected. This will just start when it starts, which will be soonish. And I may return to the criminal world, which I left after Chopper and The Hard Word. There is a script that's of some interest to me that I may or may not do something about after I've had my lie down. And I have a long gestating project, a love story involving George Orwell during the Spanish Civil War, which has been so long gestating that Colin Firth, who was going to play Orwell, has grown too old to play the role in the meantime. But that's the thing about long gestating projects. They're long gestating because they take as long as they take. And if one's interest and one's focus and one's determination does not diminish, they get made.